Donovan Mitchell. And for the first time ever, which has me incredibly excited about this, in addition to this having been the craziest series we've seen in a long time, is this is the first ever Game 7 that I'm aware of that's going to be played on a neutral court.
Yeah, and that's incredibly exciting to see how this works out. And something you brought up on Twitter during this, like kind of the build up to this, is usually home teams are an 80-20 favorite in these games. This is a neutral site, and will it be closer to the NCAA tournament? Will it be something different? I mean, remember, they're also, not only is this a neutral site, this is a no fan game. I am absolutely excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, and obviously the number one question is, can Murray and Mitchell sustain the incredible shooting that they've had, and what is the defensive response going to be from both teams? Is there going to be some straight double teaming, for example? Really fascinating. Both these teams have Game 7 wins recently on their resume. Denver also had a Game 7 loss last year. And so I'm just fascinated to see whether Denver's defensive improvement can continue and whether these guards are going to be as electric as they have been. Same starters for both teams, and Gobert wins the tip. They started off with Joe Ingles. Mitchell's on the opposite side of the floor, guarded by Grant. They want to get Conley on the dribble pitch. Now it's Ingles. Gobert rolling to the rim. O'Neal not taking that three. Now he has to create. Now he'll drive on Millsap. Not an advantage matchup. Ingles eludes Murray for the three, though. That's not good enough defense from Jamal Murray. Had no reason to lose him there.
No, it looked like the Nuggets succeeded on that defensive possession, and just unnecessary mistake by Jamal Murray.
Another thing to watch there was the double teaming out top on the pick and roll. Is the deflection by O'Neal. Murray with a turnover. He's had been very low turnover in the series. Conley back to Ingles. Good job by Grant switching onto it. Ingles blows by, and absolutely no reaction from Nikola Jokic at the rim whatsoever.
Yeah, and he was being engaged by Rudy Gobert, but still, you want to see your big man react at least a little bit there.
Yeah, it's someone else's job to go get Gobert. Now Jokic, getting around the screen, did not take the look, wants to post up, using that off arm to create space. Gobert, nice defense though, and Jokic hits the shot anyway. Fantastic work by both players, but Jokic, one of his few post-up buckets in this series. Conley into the lane, attacks with the right-hand floater. He tried to draw the foul, and then somehow no loose ball foul called on him either. Murray has the matchup against Mitchell. Going to go off the screen from Jokic. Gobert is high on the floor. Mitchell did well to get through. Grant open three. Man, Jeremy Grant, the unsung hero of this series for the Nuggets.
Absolutely, and we know they needed somebody to step up when they're playing these defensive heavy lineups with Grant and Millsap together, and Grant's been a big part of that.
Ingles, he is the matchup on Murray. I think they want to try and tire Murray out. Ingles hasn't been involved much in the offense. There's Conley. He gets Grant to bite on the fake. Ingles, can he hit it again? No. Monte Morris with his first touch against Conley. That's another potential defensive weak point for the Jazz to go after. Murray off at two screens. Gobert stepping out hard on Murray that time. Here's Grant. Can he make it two in a row? No. So that's interesting. And then Gobert tries to flop down, getting engaged with Jokic. But that's interesting to watch. Gobert is stepping out higher and harder on Murray coming off those handoffs where he's been extremely effective. Now Gobert rolling. Morris has to help out. Conley on the drive. Finds Gobert. Easy dunk. And so this is what Utah didn't do enough of last game. Mitchell was rolling. Jokic was getting up to the level of the screen. And so they were not finding Gobert on that short roll. They found him twice already. Murray with Gobert on him again. He missed Jokic open for the pick and pop. They'll have to reset the screen. Now Murray down the lane, going at Ingles. No problem. He blew right by Gobert. So Gobert further out on the floor. Murray just goes right by him. Mitchell has not been featured so far. I think that's been intentional. Ingles trapped out on the floor. Now they got to swing it faster. Nice look, but Morris came back to intercept. Right idea, but Morris was all over it. Now it's Millsap inside. He gets a tough lay-in.
And what I loved about that Morris read is he bet that they weren't going to make the hard pass to the opposite corner, that they're looking for Gobert, and makes the right gamble pay off.
Snug pick and roll. No, Conley gets a nice look into Gobert, but Gobert has blown quite a few finishes around the rim on non-dunks these last couple games. He was very effective in the first couple of games, but they've pressured him a little more. He's got to finish that one, though. But they've found Gobert 3 times already on that quick pocket pass, short roll. That was clearly an emphasis for them. Grant posting up on Mitchell. Ingles too late with the help, but Grant blew the layup. Ingles looking to attack Morris, has the size advantage. Wants Gobert to set the screen. Jokic not getting up this time. Ingles going at Jokic, and you see Joe Ingles has absolutely no right hand. Now it's Millsap attacking. Conley tries to draw the foul. Oh, that's such a BS call. He's pretty, like, Paul Millsap can't go fast enough to run him over.
Well, and also, Conley gets his chest in the way, but he's still moving when Millsap is getting there. So I hate.
I mean, he's definitely in his path, but he steps forward into him. I mean, that's a play on to me. Here's Gobert down the lane again. Oh, he airmailed the pass. But that's 4 times already they've gotten Gobert on that short roll. He gets more involved offensively that way as well. Denver trying to get quick transition. They had a lot of success on that in game 1. Screen away for Millsap, trying to get him into the post. Well navigated by the Jazz. Tough 2 from Morris, but it goes down as the Denver Nuggets continue to shoot the crap out of the ball.
And I want to see if Utah goes back. Something they did well in Game 6 was running off of makes opportunistically. I think they should get some opportunities there, especially when the starters are on the floor, to make Denver starters work.
Conley, a rare miss from 3 for him as well. He's been on fire. And Jokic with his second attack of the game. Looking for Murray. O'Neal does well to deny him. Gobert stepped back to take away the back door. Now Grant off the pick and roll. Nice deflection by O'Neal. He's gotten a couple of those so far. And hopefully Murray's okay. Looked to be kind of favoring that right hand a little bit.
I think yeah, I think he'll be okay. At first I thought the ball hit him, but if the ball hit him, it would have been out of bounds off them, and I think the ref wouldn't have missed that
8
call.
to shoot. O'Neal getting physical with Murray. Murray attacking downhill on Gobert, stepping back for a long 2. And at least what they are doing is not letting Jamal Murray get a 3-pointer. And he continues to look great, though. Denver an 8-0 run. I still think the Jazz offense has kind of looked a little bit better in terms of the process, though. That time Gobert not open. What they're trying to do is put Conley in the corner, so Morris has to be the help guy in that role. Now Mitchell, beautiful inside-out dribble. And again, just less than zero reaction from Jokic on the opposite side of the lane.
Yeah, and so if the two helpers are Monte Morris and Nikola Jokic, it's going to create big problems in the Nuggets defense. Morris had that great help read for a steal, but outside of that, a little bit limited.
Grant attacking. Back out Jokic. Gobert just covers so much ground at his size. Now Murray fading away. Man, I mean, is this guy ever going to miss, Danny?
And that was a beautiful legal screen by Jokic. It was a handoff, and he moved slightly, but he was set before the guy tried to break over the screen. Beautiful job by Jokic setting up that screen.
Yeah, I mean, but if it's long 2s all night by Murray, I think they're more okay with that. They're at least running him off the 3-point line. I want to take a look at the shot charts here. I think it's been a lot of.
I was actually just going to go there.
Take us there.
Four shots in the restricted area so far for Denver. They made 3 of 4. 3 mid-rangers, made all 3 of those, and then 3 3-pointers, 2 of 3 there. Whereas Utah, 5 shots in the restricted area, 3 above the break threes, and only 1 shot otherwise, which is a floater.
Well, I've done 8 bookies.com reads over the past 2 days, so I know you missed talking about them. I will cede the floor to you this time.
Absolutely. So bookies.com, it's all about information. If you want something you can track here, there are 2 different picks from our experts at bookies.com in this game. Adam Thompson, who's at 70% on the season, he picked the over. The over was 218.5. We'll see what that happens with the offensive explosion in the series. And Mark Stroutman, who's at about 60%, he picked the Jazz over the Nuggets. They were actually a half-point dog. Not that that half-point matters a whole lot because we're not going to get a tie game. But I'll be interested to see how those work out. But again, bookies.com, it's about information. So go to bookies.com/NBA for live odds, expert picks, and the best online sign-up deals anywhere on the internet. And now we can get to your questions.
Well, I have a question for you real quick. Who do you have in this game, since we haven't talked in a couple of days?
I know Denver has been better over the last couple, but I still think Utah has. I think they have the superior talent level. I think that they can. There are more buttons that they can push. But I mean, Jamal's been incredible. I'm going with Utah though.
Well, I think I would have had Utah, but now that Denver has a 6-point lead.
Oh no, I was saying what I picked before.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
let's see. Going and yes, you can ask questions. You can ask questions on Periscope, on Twitch, or on YouTube. We'll get them from wherever. So question from Cyber Brioche: do you think Gobert has done a good job on Jokic through the first 6 games? Yeah, I think he's done well overall. It is incredible the amount of ground that not only that Gobert covers, but that he's being asked to cover in this overall series. But on Jokic, yes, I think he's done a good job.
Couple of questions about like what Mitchell not being involved early, and I think the reason for that is Mitchell is probably the poorest pocket passer of their three ball handlers, including Ingles and Conley. So they want to get the ball to the roll man and set up that 4-on-3 situation with Jokic out on the floor. And I'm sure they'll go back to Mitchell plenty later on, but I think the process of the Jazz offense was off later on in Game 6 in particular, and so they want to take advantage, get the ball moving around, and Ingles in particular has been uninvolved. So, do I agree with that? I don't know, but I think that's the strategy.
From Chris Pereira, which of these teams would give the Clippers a better series? It's an interesting question. I mean, I think my instinct is the Jazz, unless Harris makes it all the way back. But remember, the Nuggets, without Will Barton, they just don't have the right defenders. Grant would be asked to do a lot, and Grant could do a little bit, but I'm going to go. I mean, it's funny, though, considering I'm the one who picked the Nuggets in the series and you picked the Jazz. Well, we're back, so we'll talk about that later.
So here's Mitchell now. It hasn't had any on-ball reps yet. They get it to Ingles, back to Mitchell, just to get more guys out on the floor to try and swing it. Clarkson, who just came on, attacking Murray, but Murray cuts him off nicely. Late clock for Ingles. He wants Gobert to sprint out there and set the screen. This is really late clock, though. Ingles had the pull-up, gets it to Gobert, and he'll dunk it. Nice play there.
And that's also a failure of Paul Millsap. There was only 1 second left on the shot clock. You got to pick up the guy who's going to get the ball instead of thinking about the pass.
Yeah. He was guarding O'Neal in the opposite corner. Great point. Now cross screen for Jokic. Gobert gets through it. Jokic he's got a good shot here, though. He's got a little space. Instead, he gets into the lane, tries to attack Gobert, and they're going to get a foul here on Gobert, left arm.
Gobert dropped his left hand. Yeah, it's the right call. And, I mean, foul trouble to Game 7. Remember, there are all these variance elements. We just saw a variance game, though that was a Game 2, obviously, in the East. But little fouls, whether a shot goes in or not, even if it's a bad call, like those sorts of things, whether it's repeatable or not, in a Game 7, it doesn't matter because it's functionally a one-off.
Yeah, Quinn Snyder supposedly was going to play his starters more. The starters actually, as a unit, were plus 16 in Game 6, and they really got worked at the end of the first, early second, as Denver built a lead that they would never really quite relinquish. 6-point game. Looks like a similar set to what they ran last time. Now they're going to go to the opposite side to Ingles, trying to get him going to his left hand. They're forcing him right instead. Ingles picks up his dribble. No advantage gain. Mitchell tries to step back. Clarkson now back to Mitchell. Late screen. He wants to go at Morris. Jazz playing very late in the clock. Tough three. Mitchell missing his first shot.
Yeah, and Denver really making Utah take some time before getting into their sets. It was about 10 seconds before they really had anything.
That was a carry by Murray that they missed, I think. Now they're trying to front Grant in the post. Grant more comfortable turning over his left shoulder here. Does that. Gobert comes over. Grant with the pass to nowhere. Great job by Gobert. First, Clarkson made the pass to Grant difficult. Then Gobert comes over at the end and forces a difficult pass out of bounds.
And you've expressed that maybe the rule of like don't jump in the air unless you have a plan, it doesn't apply to better players, but I think Jeremy Grant probably still does.
2 on the ball again against Mitchell. They sprint back. They are not able to get the ball to Gobert on this roll in this stint now. Weak side, Clarkson. He's got the ball a couple of times in the corner against Murray. Rips through this time across the lane, shoots over him, and scores. Jordan Clarkson has been effective in that short mid-range zone in this series.
And that was a small bump by Clarkson, but I don't think they're ever going to call that unless you flop like hell out of it.
Murray screening for Jokic. Goes back door out of that, and he's stripped but fouled by O'Neal. O'Neal also prone to foul trouble. That was good help from Clarkson, who actually has made some help plays as a defender in this series. Not something he had been known for, but you see the versatility of that Jokic-Murray combination with Murray getting the switch inside position, and then cutting to the rim.
And this has been an exceedingly low free throw start to this game. We're about 8 minutes in, and there have only been 2 free throws attempted in the entire game.
So Malone taking advantage of this 4-point lead. I would imagine that at the under 3 timeout, Murray will return. I think they're just trying to get him up low, just like 1 minute here, including the TV timeout. Morris back to Jokic. Good stunt from O'Neal, and he didn't give up the pass to Porter either. Now Jokic has to gun it. That's off. Mitchell looking to push it. Nuggets are back. Michael Porter came in, tried to get the back door, and that was just a terrible pass. O'Neal actually, he had it, and he gave up on it to go out to the corner instead. Just a miscommunication.
Yeah, that's kind of like when a receiver alters their route and the quarterback doesn't know about it and just throws it to nowhere. But yeah, Mitchell. I still don't think he's the greatest feel passer, so he kind of has to do a little bit more there on reads and seeing it, and so makes it a little bit harder to be spot on.
They're trying to get Gobert through a screen, and Jokic is wide open. Jokic has been more versatile as a jump shooter in this series, coming off of screens, and that time Gobert got obliterated.
Yeah, by Jeremy Grant.
Conley off the screen into the lane. Tries for the floater, short. Rebounded Jokic with great hands on that rebound. Morris looking to push it. Gobert's got to get back, and he does. Jokic out top. Trying to post up Grant on Conley. Help's got to come here from Niang. Good double team. Get it out to Morris, but the pass is off, so he couldn't shoot it. Now he'll shoot the mid-ranger, and Monte Morris has had a couple of mid-rangers. I mean, what is that, 5 mid-range jumpers already for Denver?
That is 6. They've made 5.
And Mitchell will get the timeout. So I imagine we'll see Murray come back here. But Utah just looking very tight offensively. They have not been able to take advantage of some of the openings that they've created. And Denver certainly has just defending so much better. I can't remember a team with basically the same personnel looking so much better over the course of the series. And I think really just bringing Porter off the bench is responsible for a lot of that change.
Point from Namir Baker. Feels like Conley just doesn't trust the lob to Gobert even when it looks like it's there. I think that's true. It also is, Conley has the ability to make the angle. It can be a tough pass to get spot on. So, to get it there but not hit the backboard, not everything else. It is a very tight window. Conley can hit it. But yeah, I think that's been true too. From Josh Steinkoff, why do Game 7s always look like this? Even this all-offense series gets bogged down. I think a little bit of it is just players being tight. And also, generally, the defense starts from the jump. Sometimes, you can think the most extreme is all-star games, but players know in a Game 7 that that the defensive intensity, it's better in the playoffs overall, but in Game 7s, it just starts a lot quicker. And we've seen both teams. I think the defensive intensity and execution has been better in this first quarter than any of the others.
Well, and here's the thing, too. Denver has a 132 offensive rating right now. It's just been a very slow pace, only 16 possessions so far.
That's a great point.
And a lot of playing very late into the shot. This overall has been a pretty slow paced series. And so that's obscured. We've had some high scores, but when you consider the pace, it's been really high scores.
Question from the Big Three. Is there a chance that this is Rudy Gobert's last game with the Jazz? Yes, absolutely. Nate and I are not going to do their offseason preview anytime soon, even if they lose tonight. But the Jazz have a lot of big decisions to make. And Gobert being extension eligible, we've seen this with a few different guys, that can be an indicator of where things are going. And sometimes teams don't want to roll the dice. They don't want to go there, especially if they can't come to terms on an extension. So, yeah, I think it absolutely could be. Not saying it is. I'm not saying – I picked the Jazz to win this game after all. But it could happen, sure.
Yeah, it could.
Oh,
yeah,
and Josh mentioned bogged down is in bad offense and low pace. Yeah, I think and defensive intensity can slow the pace down too. I think we're seeing that from Denver.
Yeah, I think there has been a focus by the Jazz on really working the ball around, moving it, making Denver keep up with them. But they've done a pretty decent job at that so far. And one thing that's been very surprising to me is Denver has been shutting off the rim, but Utah's been shooting an amazing percentage on three-pointers, but they're not giving up that many three-pointers. Jazz only 4 3-point attempts so far here.
Let's see. From Glenn Simonson, with Clarkson and Burke playing the best defense of their careers, how much credit should Snyder get? I think he deserves some. And one of the elements that I like that the Jazz have done is they put Clarkson. He's better as a help defender than a one-on-one guy, and he's had a few opportunities there. That's maybe a bigger question for later. Well, I'll mention it, and then maybe we'll get back to it. Hopefully, we remember from Parag. Changes to Raptors Celtics predictions post game 2. Maybe that's something we'll talk about in the pod, but we can get there.
All right, we are back here. Conley off the Gobert screen. Gary Harris does well to get through. Clarkson on the drive. Jokic with good help that time. That leaves Niang open for 3, though, and he hits it. Yeah, Porter had to get down on Gobert's roll, and he just did not quite get out there fast enough on Niang. It took him just a second to start his sprint to the corner. Here's Jokic. He's hit that mid-ranger, but Gobert's length bothering him enough. Now he has to find Porter late in the clock. Niang bothering him. Porter left to create. Back out Jokic. Gets it off. Yes, another huge shot by Denver. Denver just cannot miss from the outside.
And that's something I really like, actually, about a good set shot three-point shooter late in the clock. You can get it off relatively quickly with Jokic's release.
Yang that time closed down a little bit harder by Torrey Craig, who has come on. It's Craig and Michael Porter at forward. Porter trying to work on Niang, can't get the shot. Backdoor Porter is open, yes. And
this is a fascinating lineup because there isn't a traditional point guard on. Oh no, is Jamal out there?
That was hilarious. Rudy Gobert was 2.9ing at the free throw line when Michael Porter was laying the ball in, literally. Like he's just so attuned to where Jokic is as a shooter. I mean, Jokic is just shooting lights out in this series. I mean, if Jokic were shooting his normal percentage from 3, this series would be over already.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, now for a second I was going to riff on how the Nuggets rotation gets challenged with Monte Morris being a starter, but Jamal's still in.
Another brick from Mitchell. They have not tried to get him going, and maybe that'll be their detriment if he never does. Here's Craig over Conley. Inside position by Jokic. He wanted the foul, didn't get it. Now Mitchell swinging it. Niang on the drive, lobs it up. Gobert with the dunk. Porter swing down just a little bit late, couldn't get there.
And you could tell when the help comes, just train your guys to look for the big man. And you can, with Gobert's catch radius, you can throw it pretty close to the basket, and you can hope that he'll get it. Great job by Niang there.
Here's Murray back to go against Conley. Has the size advantage. Working into the lane. Tough fader over Conley, and he gets the miss. Great contest. Oh, but Jokic with an incredible rebound, and his floater squirts out. Mitchell on the save. Throws it right to Porter. Intercepted by Conley. What action. Now the Jazz are in transition. Three-pointer Niang. Can he make it 2 for 3? Yes, sir.
And a big stretch for the Jazz. Could have gone even more extreme. Instead, now it's down to 5 with the last possession of the first quarter going to the Denver Nuggets.
Murray will run the time down. Jokic waving everyone away. He wants Porter down further in the corner. Gary Harris in the dunker spot. Clarkson is going to need to bring help here. Murray going at Conley, who's defended him well, and we're going to get a late foul with 3.1 remaining, but I don't believe anybody is in the bonus.
Yeah, it's hard. Some broadcasts don't say that a team is in the bonus, even if the next foul is them shooting free throws. But I think that Utah had one to give. The
referees think that as well. So 3.1 to go here. Murray trying to screen. Now he pops out. Conley is on him. Murray, great defense from Conley.
And so we finished the first quarter. Some of the advanced stats, you could see them on your screen thanks to RT Hoops, but basically 124 offensive rating for Denver Nuggets and a even 121 points on 20 possessions for the Utah Jazz. Not significantly high turnovers, very few offensive rebounds, 1 for Denver and 0 for Utah so far. All of those are things to watch in a Game 7.
So
So I'll get to some of your questions. Let's see. Would you rather have Murray or Mitchell for the next 5 years? The cop out answer would be it depends on what team structure you have, but I still think I think I'd rather have Mitchell just because on most teams you're going to need your point guard to do a larger part, or you need your lead guard to do a larger part of the creation. Something I do love about Murray is that I think you can use him as an like kind of as a hybrid guard in a lot of different systems due to his shooting. But I like Mitchell better for right now.
Well, and also, I mean, if we're talking about contracts, Mitchell has another couple of years to go before he's going to be on what will no doubt be a maximum extension. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a fair one from John Perry. Why is the Rockets play style being called micro ball when are they playing that much smaller than the Warriors' death lineups? And the answer is no. I think part of the reason why they're being called micro ball is because they're playing it without a traditional rim protector. Draymond, that's actually one of the ways that I think he deserves
Yeah.
credit is that, his listed height, but he functions in a way that the Rockets really don't. PJ Tucker isn't the same defensive player, though he's very good.
Well, the other reason is that they're starting that way. They don't even have a center in the rotation. They like
Yes.
PJ Tucker. They're just all right. You're gonna bang on these dudes. You're gonna be a center. Whereas the Warriors wanted to protect Draymond Green for those matchups, particularly in the regular season. Um, One thing I wanted to focus on quickly here, something to monitor. Mike Conley, a couple of nice defensive possessions against Jamal Murray. Seth, when he came on in your absence on Sunday's show, suggested Conley. I poo-pooed that because I thought that Conley isn't strong enough to deal with Murray and doesn't have enough size. But he's done well on a couple of occasions here, so maybe Seth is going to prove right. We'll have to monitor that.
Question from Moccasin. Not sure if this has been asked, but what does Denver do with Millsap after this season? And I think they have to hope that his asking price is pretty low, and I think there's a very distinct chance that it will be just because of how few teams have cap space and which ones, and maybe he'll come back on a shorter term deal. But I mean, I think that he's getting close to the end as a starter on a very good team. So you can't commit to that, especially when whether it should be or not, the tax is a functional limitation for them.
Yeah, and I think the emergence of Grant and his three-point shooting in this series, I don't know how much you want to count on that. But between him and Porter, I mean, both those guys are threes. They are fours. You've really got Barton as well, who is going to be a part of things. You still have Gary Harris, Murray. So, and I think Millsap, there are teams that might still be willing to give him a starting role and a big salary. And I think in this series, Denver is probably going to come to the conclusion that they don't necessarily need him as much anymore. That could end up being wrong, but and Grant is also a free agent. Would you agree with me that they should probably prioritize Grant over Millsap at this point?
I think so, especially when you consider how young Denver's best players are. That their best years, as good as they are right now, their best years could be ahead of them. Very briefly from Ross Heltman, who is the best fit for the Hornets at 3? I mean, a lot of it is going to be they just went straight back into the game. Never mind.
Yeah, and I think that was Craig hitting a 3. Pretty poor production there from ESPN. Here's Conley, has Craig on his back. No advantage gained out of that pick and roll with Juwan Morgan, who is playing instead of Tony Bradley on this second unit. Ingles out to Morgan. He'll take the 3. A little long. Those are your chances for role players to make an impact. And Mason Plumlee is in. He played well as Porter goes for the step back. He's been off in these last couple of games, but Plumlee creating the loose ball foul with his activity as Morgan. Yeah, a clear foul. That was just Plumlee's stuck on the baseline anyway. You don't have to shove him.
Yeah, and one of the interesting dynamics of Game 6 was Denver sticking with Plumlee, whereas Utah shifted largely away from Tony Bradley, partially foul trouble, partially just lack of effectiveness, and we'll see how that plays out here.
Wow. Utah had no idea who they were guarding, and they can't get a defensive rebound right now. Finally, it goes to Morgan. I think somebody thought they were in a zone maybe on that out of bounds. Here's Clarkson attacking Murray into the lane. Has to kick it out to Ingles. He'll drive right. They've done a great job keeping Ingles off of his left hand in this series. Niang is open for a 3. George Niang now 2 of 4. That's the first he's attempted outside of the corners. Jamal Murray remains in the game. He got that short 2-minute rest. Craig pushing off. Conley with the rebound. He wants to get in transition.
A Torrey Craig off the dribble too, not the best way to start. Ooh, but that
Yeah,
pass.
that was really nice. And Morgan, he created that. Plumlee was trying to yell out that someone should pick up Morgan, who was his man, but no one ever did. But Morgan created that with the outstanding sprint. And if you're going to be in the game for 3 minutes before Rudy Gobert comes back in, and yeah, that is just an incredible pass. You might as well leave it all out there on the floor.
Well, and one of the beautiful things about that from Conley is it's not only about the positioning on the floor to make sure it doesn't hit foot, but having the spin on it so that it bounces right into his hands. That was beautiful. I love that type of stuff.
Somewhat predictable miss from Morgan at the foul line. Morgan, an undrafted rookie. And he misses two. That's a bummer. But Niang keeps it alive. Denver lucky it went to Plumlee. Now Harris, he'll take the three. Yes, Gary Harris hitting his first three of the bubble. And Denver all of a sudden now 32-21. And this is where they killed Utah in game 6. Morgan setting the screen. Plumlee is out on the floor. Conley attacks, finds Morgan. Nice pass there to Ingles, but they got to cash out these threes. They're not doing it.
Yeah, and you look early in a game, generally shot quality over shot result, but still, you have to make them at some point.
Here's Porter. Man, Porter has not had the touch since early in the series.
No, he was rough in game
Clarkson
6.
not an advantage matchup against Harris. He'll try him anyway. Crosses over into the lane. Harris gets a good strip. Clarkson goes right through it for the bucket.
And these lineups don't need Clarkson as much with Mike Conley on the floor, but having somebody who's aggressive and can
Here it
give
is,
you
Danny.
an offensive identity.
Double teaming
There we go.
Murray at half court. They went to it. Here's Porter. Whoa, he's run into, and what a finish by Porter. Morgan tried to come over Clarkson with a dangerous foul. And Michael Porter looking better at the rim.
Longtime people with me know how I feel about hitting guys who are in the air. Though I thought that Morgan did that fight. It was Clarkson, I think, that was the more dangerous play going
absolutely.
for the high strip.
He just, and he didn't. The thing that's going to save him from a flagrant is he didn't like grab him and follow through. He made contact and then he stopped his motion.
Yeah, I think the league should get more aggressive with those. Period. But as the rule is called right now, you are totally correct.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want that one to be a flagrant. I think that's a good hard playoff foul, as they say. Gobert and Mitchell are back in as this is slipping away from Denver or from Utah right now. Mitchell tries to attack. He's 0 for 3. Gobert can't get it. Now they've got a chance. Now they're going to get a trip on Gobert, and another one of these calls where the guy is on the ground and I don't think that Craig did that intentionally, Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry style. But
yeah, and that's Gobert's second. And what that does is it removes the margin for error. I mean, it doesn't have to be in a game 7 that you deserve all the fouls you get. It doesn't really matter at this point.
Murray attacking Gobert downhill. Ingles comes over high off the window. Here's Porter, and they have no choice but to foul him again. Michael Porter making plays around the basket with his effort, even with the jump shot not falling.
Yeah, and there are a lot of times we talk about, like what can a player do if their jump shot's not falling in? And Michael Porter, you could imagine him having some real trouble there. He's a limited defender, but he's been a great rebounder basically his entire, half year NBA career.
Yeah, particularly on the offensive glass. He can't get that free throw though. And let's see if the Jazz are going to start going at Porter now. They've really tried to go back to just their normal staple, the pick and roll, getting 2 on the ball, and they're getting decent shots. Their shot quality's probably been better than Denver, but they're getting beat on the glass, and Denver's hitting shots. Gobert up top looking for Mitchell. Good job by Craig staying with him. Mitchell down the lane. Quadruple team. What a closeout from Gary Harris, though. Clarkson trying to attack him. Tough shot. Good block by Harris. That is great defense. Clarkson is behind the play now. Porter underneath, easy dunk, all because Clarkson fell down in the corner, and Quinn Snyder desperately needs a timeout. And he went back to his starters, and they're still getting worked.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the plus minuses so far. Mike Conley, -14 in 12 minutes. Ingles, -13 in 11 minutes. And another big game for the Nuggets bench. +9 for Plumlee, 5 points for Porter, 5 points for Craig, each of which +10 in 8 minutes.
Yeah, and that shot chart, which started off really looking pretty good for Utah, they still haven't taken a mid-ranger. And Denver, they are 5 out of 9 on threes and 5 out of 8 on mid-range jumpers. But Utah hasn't been able to hit the three, and they're starting to turn the ball over now as well. So, yeah.
And remember, the Jazz only have 2 free throw attempts in this game, both of which were missed by Juwan Morgan.
Yeah, that's another thing that, I mean, this has been a low foul series. Part of why it's been such an aesthetic delight. But let's talk about bookies.com here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. Let's do that first. Bookies.com, it's all about information. That's something that you and I try to do through Dunked On, through the NBA cast. And what can an informed listener do with that? Well, we're not great at converting that into information for bookies.com, but they are. And so you can go to bookies.com/NBA, or you can go to their other sites if you're interested in that, for the latest NBA live odds, expert picks, and the best online sign-up deals. And something that I brought up, the live odds, which is something that I really like. It's that it's all in one place. You and I both value our time a lot, and having that all in one place means that you don't have to click around to different sites, everything. It's all in one spot for you. So if you think if maybe one sets the line differently, or you maybe it's a different payout, you can see all that there.
Yeah, you can also follow them at Bookies on Twitter, and thanks to them, of course, for sponsoring the program. So this is a Hornets question here. Who is the best fit in the draft for the Hornets at 3?
I mean, to me, the best answer is best prospect available, and they could get really lucky. I mean, you and I, our top 2, I believe, from the players we've seen so far, and we haven't seen everybody yet. I have LaMelo Ball 1, and I have Wiseman 2, and I think one of those 2 will be on the board, and it might be LaMelo Ball. I'm leaning towards it not being, from a little bit I've gamed it out. And the beautiful thing about the Hornets is they're, you could say, hey, it's bad that they're not great right now, but the nice thing about that is there's nothing that pens them in. I would say Kupchak should just take whoever they think the best guy is that's on the board.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I mean, there isn't really anyone I look at as like a super high level future starter for sure on this team. So whatever position you think that you want to go at, just take the best guy. I would say. I mean, even Edwards, if you're an Edwards fan, would totally fit just fine there.
Sure. Good question from Joe Schneider on Twitter using the hashtag NBAcast. If this game unexpectedly becomes a low-scoring rock fight, which team/coaching is best suited to squeeze out a victory? I mean, we've seen both of these teams have guys just get buckets late.
I mean, you'd have to say Denver. They've had the clutch advantage in all the games that were close in this series.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, you could make an argument that it would be Utah, but at a certain point, you do want to look at the actual production on there.
All right, so Utah got some work to do here, down 14 already. Jazz with starters out there except Clarkson for Conley. They get it.
Seth just tweeted out, how about an Ingles Gobert pick and roll? Which, yeah, here that would be useful.
I mean, they're 7 on the shot clock. They haven't even penetrated past 35 feet yet. Now, finally, Mitchell does, and he's missed a couple of floaters that he was been making in this series.
Well, and you're not even forcing the defense to have a potential of making a mistake there. It's basically a one drive, a one shot possession.
Mitchell has the matchup on Murray now. Harris trying to break the paint. Porter feeling himself. Comes off the handoff. He'll take the mid-ranger. Way short again. He's been a little aggressive with the jump shot. Ingles tried to draw the bullshit foul, but thankfully was not rewarded. Mitchell with the inside-out dribble. Right down the lane. Goes at Plumlee. No! Offensive foul. Are they going to get him with the knee here?
High knee. And he had it. Donovan Mitchell led with his knee there.
Yeah.
Gallinari style.
That's such a tough call, though, because... how are you supposed to jump off of 1 foot if you don't lift your leg up? It's physically impossible to avoid that.
I think maybe they're challenging people to develop the 2-foot giant killer, but yeah, that was it's not like Mitchell did anything unreasonable, but I think the way that it's called, that's the correct call.
Yeah, Billy Kennedy with that call. He has had a couple of rough ones in these playoffs so far. I think it was in the OKC Rockets game, was the last game he officiated. But
Oh
correct
God.
me if I'm wrong on
Yeah.
that.
I think that's right.
Murray is on the bench again, getting some more rest. Porter, he'll take another mid-ranger. Man, he hasn't been close on these, and now Jokic is behind. Clarkson attacking Craig. Goes in for the dunk. Count it. And one by Jordan Clarkson. And finally, the lid's off the bucket from Utah in emphatic fashion.
Yeah, and Jordan Clarkson, 6 points on 3 of 4 from the field, but that's not about all the offense that Utah's had in his minutes. They've really struggled so far.
Yeah, Craig clubbed him right in the head. Great
Yeah, and
finish.
great body control by Jordan Clarkson to stay on it because he's not exactly the thickest guy in the world to absorb that contact. Really nice job.
It's great head control.
Yeah.
11-point
I think
game.
the head counts as part of the body.
Gobert gets through the screen on Jokic. Pump fake. Now Jokic will take it. And no, they're going to get the third on Gobert. Oh, man. I don't know about that call. That is, we'll get the baseline view here. Watch the right foot of Jokic. Ooh, did he even come close to him? This might be a challenge here. Did it say that he shoved him in the stomach?
Yeah, I think it was the hand in the stomach that was the call.
I think you got to
And
stay
remember,
with him. I think you got to stay with him.
Gobert's first foul was a shooting foul on Jokic about halfway through the first quarter, then the one where he was on the ground. Yeah, I mean, down 12 in a game 7, they run a real risk here if this gets out of hand. It's the whole thing we've criticized Mike Budenholzer for, of saving your star player for when you don't need him anymore.
Well, and these will be the first minutes in this series that Nikola Jokic has played without Rudy Gobert, and if I'm Denver, I'm going right at Juwan Morgan in the post with Jokic. Here's Morgan underneath Jokic with the foul. And Morgan will have to do better at the line.
And that is Jokic's first. That's only the 5th foul for the Nuggets in this entire game, compared 9 for the Jazz. And I'm not saying it's been unevenly officiated. The Nuggets just aren't really fouling that much. And this also means Juwan Morgan, other than the Jordan Clarkson and one, he has taken all of the Utah's free throws in this entire game.
Yeah, has Mitchell even scored yet? 2 points, 1 of 5. Here's Monte Morris attacking Conley, who's back in now. Going with the 3-guard alignment, O'Neal and Morgan. They do go straight to the post. They have to double team. Jokic finds Grant. That's the right pass to Morris. Oh, just missed it. Great offense, though, for the Nuggets to get a corner 3, which have been rare for them in this series. Swing it around, trying to post up Jokic again. Double team comes. Conley. Jokic gets through it. Another corner 3. Wide open. There it goes down. And they got to get Gobert back in. If they're going to be double teaming Nikola Jokic on every possession, you're not getting back in this game. Let him foul out if you have to. Here's Conley on the drive. Can't get the call. Looked like there was contact. Here's the push from Grant. Wide open is Craig all day. Wow. Lucky he missed that one. And then Mitchell gets it knocked away from behind, but a foul is called in his favor.
Yeah, that was a reach by Jeremy Grant that led to Donovan Mitchell kicking it. And the other challenge of doubling Nikola Jokic is he's one of the best passers in the league, and so unless you force the ball out and narrow his angle, which is hard to do when he's 7 feet tall, he's going to find somebody in there with the step through those. Beautiful.
Well, and here's the other thing too. They haven't worked on double teaming him in the rotations out of that at all, I'm guessing. Their strategy has been Gobert to guard him one-on-one. They swing it around. Conley into the lane. Has to airmail a pass out. O'Neal controls it. Late clock. They're trying to get it to Mitchell. Finally, Mitchell. Oh, he gets stripped by Morris, who played great defense on the possession. And Morris misses the layup. Porter is there, though. He goes up. He misses somehow.
Oh, he got hacked.
Yeah, all right. I was about to say.
They called it. Okay. Yeah, he got drilled on the wrist.
But Morris, great defensive possession from him. He's denying Mitchell. And then finally Mitchell gets it, and Morris takes it away from him. Porter did well to get out on the floor also.
Yeah, it was a de facto kind of double team with 6 seconds left on the shot clock. I really like that.
Well, and Michael Porter, it really has been. He's been forged in the defensive crucible right now. He's made it through this series. They had to stay with him because they didn't have anyone else. They took him out of the starting lineup, but we haven't seen him just getting torched and torched and torched over these last couple of games. And so now with a 16-point Denver lead, no Gobert, no Mitchell, Murray is going to come back in, make it a 17-point lead for the Denver Nuggets. And the Jazz, I can't remember another turn where they've struggled so badly, and Mitchell is going to head back into the back. There's a steal by Morris. Again, he'll push it up. He'll take the three. He's feeling it. Oh, that could have pushed it to 20. Clarkson gets the drag screen. They switch Jokic onto him. Clarkson along the baseline. Jokic stays with him nicely. He wants to try him again, though. Now he'll back off.
And Grant trailed there to try to prevent the layup.
Clarkson sets up O'Neal. They need it. Can't get it. Good offense, though, from the Jazz for once. Now here's Jokic in the post again. Let's see where the double comes. No, it's not coming from anywhere. They're going to give up a dunk. And how are you so... Not, I mean, now, if you're Morgan, you got to force him to the middle where the double team is going to come from. But how are you not attuned to help to where he just rolls right in for a dunk? You're about to get ready to go double team. Clarkson stepping back.
Priority one.
Man, Clarkson with a big three. Tough to make a living on those off-the-bounce step backs, though.
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson has 10. Next highest Jasmine is 6 points total.
Going right back to the well again with Jokic. The obvious double comes. Jokic into the corner, steps through. Grant looking to swing it. That's the opening. Three-pointer from Craig. Misses Porter again. He's got the size advantage. And no, they're going to give him the offensive foul. Conley drew it well. The elbow from Porter, apparently, not that we could tell from that camera angle.
No, this is the drop step. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. They were down 20 basically. Like, you got to get Gobert back in.
Especially when they don't really have an identity in those non-Gobert Jokic minutes because they haven't done it at all.
Yeah, Mitchell is out too. Here's Clarkson on a pick and pop. Not even close. Nuggets have their starters in except Craig, who's played well, replacing Millsap.
And for Denver, work hard to get good shots here because if you don't take them out here, Utah, I think it'll take a lot out of them to get back, but I'm a little bit concerned for Denver if that happens.
Now it's O'Neal on Jokic. Jokic working hard to post up. Double team comes, and he's going to get fouled.
Yeah.
No, what do they got here?
They call a walk?
Yeah, I couldn't see a signal. Offensive foul, maybe?
Maybe 3 seconds? Let me see if I can see it in the box score.
Here's Conley. Pick and pop again with Clarkson.
Yeah, it was a 3-second call.
Here's Morgan with an open three in the corner. Way off again. Jokic trying to post up. They've got Craig swinging around. Now he's got Ingles on him. Double team's going to have to come again. There it is. Hard double as he takes his first dribble. That's when they're doubling, and when he takes one hard dribble. Craig on the drive. Morris is wide open in the corner again. Missed that. And what do we have here? Jokic can't believe it. He gave a little shove in the back of Conley. Good call.
And that is Jokic's second foul here. But both teams are in the bonus. I think this will be free throws.
Yeah, the over-the-back breaker from Jokic. But right now, Utah just, Conley's 0 for 4. Mitchell 1 for 5. That's pretty rough. They're 4 of 16 from 3. Niang and Clarkson are the only guys who have been able to do anything.
I'm trying to look up Unpredictable's current. Okay, so Unpredictable has it right now that the Nuggets have an 88% chance of winning with a 16-point margin with 2:40 to go in the second quarter. That is with the pregame. If you put it to 50-50, It's about the same, 86.1.
Yeah, so with Mitchell on 3 fouls, that's part of why he's out too. I guess they're just trying to survive here somehow. And down 16, this is going to be a very critical last 3 minutes of the quarter. They've got 9 points in the quarter so far. Let's hit some questions.
From Josh Steinkoff, how much of a difference would Bogdanovich and Barton have made in the series? A huge one. I mean, Bogdanovich gives Utah's offense another attacker on ball. Also, they can run their rotations really differently. I think he would have made a big difference. And then Barton, capable defensive player, a good part of their offense and everything else. So I mean, also adding depth to the rotation, especially if it were uneven. If one of them came back and not the other, huge difference.
Yeah, and remember, Gary Harris has only played basically half a game up until today.
Yes. Yeah, and he has 8 minutes so far.
Are we at the earliest time possible? No. If you can't pause your live stream and you're ahead of us, you're out of luck, I'm afraid, because there's a lot of people who are streaming who are behind, and so there's unfortunately more people who are going to be behind us, and there's really no way for them to fix that than the other way around. So that's why we do it that way.
What adjustments can Quinn Snyder make to get Mitchell going in the second half? Well, I mean, I think a lot of times they're making the right read, trying to get the ball to Gobert, and maybe they could have him attack more in isolation. I guess that's one way to do it. We talked about that in the Portland series of sometimes if your guy has a matchup, you don't need to set the screen to make something happen. From Shores and Around, am I crazy to think that if Lou Dort was a mediocre three-point shooter instead of an actively terrible one, OKC would have won the series handily? Handily might be a little bit strong, but it would be a huge advantage for them because then Houston wouldn't be potentially and sometimes actually playing him off the floor. But you can also argue, and I would, that if Lou Dort could be a capable three-point shooter, OKC wouldn't have him because he would have been drafted a lot higher. He would have been drafted, period.
Yeah.
So
no, that's a great point.
There's sort of a if my sister had wheels, she'd be a wagon problem there. Why I use that line, I don't know. It's just one that I enjoy.
I mean, I enjoy it. I would encourage you to continue. All right, so
how much
we're back here.
Ahead.
Critical
set it up
time now. Last 3 minutes of this half. We'll see. I don't think they're going to go back to Gobert. This is one of those ones too where it's like, oh well, you can't get him a fourth foul before the second half. But if you just thought of it as like whether he gets it at the 27-minute mark of the game as opposed to the 24-minute mark of the game rather than first half, second half, is there really that big of a difference?
No.
Yeah, because they have, without Gobert out there, they have no chance of stopping anybody. Conley, only 1 out of 2 off the over-the-back breaker. And they're going now with Joe Ingles at center. Maybe, I guess, Royce O'Neal technically at center. He's guarding Jokic, trying to bother him. They'll just switch this handoff action. Murray into the lane. Good help from Clarkson. Does not matter.
Yeah, and the vaunted duel of Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell, I think they have a combined 6 points now. Oh, no, it's combined 10.
So Mitchell is back. Here's Conley trying to set up the open three. Open look for Ingles. Man, they are missing these open ones. They would be looking a lot better if they could hit some of these. Jokic trying to post up again on O'Neal. They got to come with the double. It's Conley from the top, swinging around. Murray eluding Mitchell. He'll swing it. Nobody there, though, so Grant had to get out on the floor to give him somewhere to pass it. He didn't. Instead, he'll drive on Conley. Misses. Nice rebound from O'Neal in among 2 bigger guys. Now it's Conley pushing it. He'll try and drive it. Clarkson attacking Jokic. Good job getting back. But now Jokic has got to guard Jordan Clarkson. Murray trying to help him. Clarkson not looking to pass it to Mitchell. He'll go into the lane. Now it's O'Neal. Euro step around Jokic. Great verticality from Jokic. And then the clear foul from Ingles. And Murray is down. He got Charlie horsed in that left quad. Hopefully he's okay.
And I would say that's a fix the charge, except that's not what Joe Ingles was going for.
Yeah, I mean
Was Joe just like trying to get in his way?
that's fix the Euro foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Right in the quad muscle with the knee. And he's had some issues with that before. In fact, I believe it was last playoffs that he had similar issues with a bruise on his quad. So I'm hopeful he'll be okay. This is the kind of thing where I think you're better in the moment, and then it'll really, then it'll really stiffen up. Are they actually going to look at this for a flagrant? Let's watch the left leg of Ingles. Yeah, you know what gives it away that he did that intentionally, Danny? I'm going to help you up afterwards. He knew what he was doing. That was definitely an intentional play by him.
Oh, we can do this question quickly from DC42. Have you felt that Utah has attacked MPJ enough? No, I don't. I don't think they have, especially when
they haven't done it once.
Yeah, I mean, it was much more successful earlier on than you would expect because Porter has improved, but no, they haven't gone to it.
Well, and so clearly the thought from Quinn Snyder, and as Murray just tries to like knock Ingles away with the very caring Joe Ingles. Quinn Snyder, they looked at the film. I saw the same thing. Seth and I talked about it. Run some more pick and rolls. They're double teaming you out on the floor. Move the ball around. Get open threes. Get to the rim, which they haven't been letting you do. But they have perhaps over-adjusted in that direction a little bit. And I thought, the first 6 minutes of the game, they were getting pretty good looks, but the shots weren't going down. Denver hit everything, and it seemed like it wasn't working, and they've stuck with it now. So I don't know. It's maybe they should have put in a little bit more of a dose of what was working with Mitchell. I mean, they still had, a 118 offensive rating in that game. Like if they were scoring like that in the game 6, they're scoring like that, they'd be right in it right now. But I mean, this is the first game really for Utah that they haven't hit every single 3-pointer.
Yeah.
And I don't know that was going to change if they had a different strategy.
And the other big problem for Utah of sitting Gobert as long as they have is that you're also reducing the amount of time that you have for a comeback. And so like it's hard to think of how they could even cut the margin with this lineup unless it's just, some fluky
Yeah,
stuff.
well, so that's how, right? Like they're going to make Jokic guard in space. He's a poor help defender, and they're just going to try and double team on the other end. I mean, this is their 5 best available players. There's a tip away from Clarkson. Again, good defense by him. Conley has Clarkson on his left. Clarkson, nice closeout by Murray to take that away. They're trying to get the blender going here. Conley attacking off the dribble, and then it's going to get knocked away by Jokic with 12 on the clock. So they actually haven't been getting killed too badly defensively with this group, which is obviously your concern without Gobert. Yeah, and this was when their offseason was over, we thought, hey, Ed Davis, 2 years, room exception, great signing. Like, he'll be playing in these minutes. It obviously hasn't worked out. They switch Murray onto Mitchell. He steps back for a big 3 to bring him within 14. Denver not trying to get the 2-for-1. A little slow here. They'll switch this onto Morris. Now it's Murray. Murray wants to attack Conley, but there's plenty of help coming. There comes the double. Mitchell told him, go double, go double. And this looks pretty good. Jokic is out of the game. Harris attacking Ingles. So they actually took Jokic out. I guess he didn't want him to pick up a foul. Now they can push it and get within 12 or 11. Mitchell gets the screen. Attacks downhill. Swings it out. Clarkson, big 3 at the end. No. That could have cut it to 11. It would have been a big shot, but there's been a lot of those open ones from Utah here.
Yeah, the Utah Jazz in that first half, 5 of 19 from 3 compared to 5 of 15 for the Nuggets. Not like they've been brilliant, but better than Jazz. And they've been mostly good looks. And overall offensive ratings, 108.7 for Denver, 78.3 for the Jazz. This is a rock fight, 46 possessions for each team in the first half.
Yeah, Denver 5 of 15 from 3. Utah 5 of 19. I think Utah's looks have been pretty darn good. But and then Utah 3 of 7 at the foul line. That's been a killer for them as well to miss those rare opportunities that they've had. Another one for you, Danny. 0 offensive rebounds for Utah to 5, and that's in what you called a rock fight. Those possessions are really big. So we will be back in about 10 minutes. Set the timer, and we'll talk about your questions and the second half. All right, welcome back from halftime. 50-36, Denver leading it. Nikola Jokic, 13 points, 3 assists. Murray has been relatively limited so far with 10 points on 4 of 7. But the big story is only 36 points for the Jazz and big time struggles from Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, who has 1 point, Rudy Gobert, both Mitchell and Gobert with 3 fouls. So Jazz with a lot of work to do going forward here. And what does the halftime line say, Danny, about their chances for improving in the second half?
The line is Denver by the final line is Denver by 10.5. So that would mean Utah cutting the margin by a little bit. But Denver negative 800 to win. Utah plus 525. So that sees it as a pretty unlikely possibility, though absolutely one that is on the table. So it'll be interesting. You can check that out at bookies.com. If you think one team, or if you think that line is poorly made, you can get advantage of it right now. Bookies.com/NBA live updating and great information there, including expert picks from Mark Stropman and Adam Thompson. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how the second half plays out. And I think an important part of this story, you brought up some of the different individual player struggles, is that Utah, despite most of them being open looks, 5 of 19 from 3 and no other jump shots. They have not taken a mid-ranger in this entire game. 1 for 4 in restricted or in the floater range as well.
Let's hit some questions here. In the pace and space era, is it harder or easier than before to win a title without someone who's a true MVP level of player?
I think that it's maybe a little easier just because of the variance that comes with that. But the old rule that I have, which is basically that a team hasn't won with a player who'd already won an MVP. There've only Pistons teams have won since, I think that's 1979. But there's a big new exception, which is Kawhi Leonard. But Kawhi Leonard, you could make an argument that he might end his career as one of the greatest players and playoff players ever to never win a regular season MVP, especially if the load management continues. So he might be the exception that kind of proves this rule, because he's an MVP caliber player who might not win an MVP.
Yeah. I mean, the question was true MVP guy, and I think that Kawhi Leonard certainly in the playoffs is capable of being at that level. And I think it's actually harder than ever before to do it without that player, because with more space on the floor, the heliocentrism, it's harder to stop those guys than it's ever been.
That's a great point.
All right, so let's get to the second half here. We're about to start.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we can get to questions later on too. And I mean, a big question we saw how aggressive Quinn Snyder was in the first half, was with Gobert in particular. If either one of these guys picks up their fourth early on, how long do they stay in the game?
I mean, you know what my opinion on that would be. So Conley has the matchup on Murray. They're going to try and get Murray more involved. He'll screen for Jokic, takes the jumper from the foul line, and it's Royce O'Neal beginning here on Jokic. Did an okay job on him, but they were double teaming. So I think I'm going to go right back to the post with Jokic. They're getting great stuff out of that. And I think Utah is kind of gambling that Denver is going to miss some shots. Here's Mitchell on the attack. He's blown a number of layups. Almost picked up his fourth. Now Gobert has Jokic in transition. Here's Morris along the baseline. Back to Jokic. He's got Mitchell on him now. Backdoor. Nice play by Conley to knock it away.
Maybe you can't do it from that far out, but with Jokic with Murray on him, I might just improvise there and try to draw a fourth foul there.
Yeah, we're showing that
he's not used to defending that sort of play.
There's that quad issue. So this could also be what they did with Juwan Morgan in game 1, where they just put O'Neal on Jokic for the first couple of possessions. Oh, man, there's Jamal Murray getting started here, and Denver with 2 quick shots early now leads by 19. Not the start that Quinn Snyder wanted. Great defense by Murray, preventing Ingles from turning the corner. Now he switched on to Mitchell, forced him left. Mitchell, he tried to dunk it on Jokic, and he's down, hopefully okay. Yeah, Jokic got him with that forearm to the chest, and that's one where I think they might want to take a little look at that one. Watch this forearm from Jokic. Oh, yeah, no, it was Millsap, but that forearm from Jokic as well is a very dangerous play.
Yeah, trying to kind of steer a guy who's already in the air. And yeah, Denver not dealing with a lot of foul trouble right now, but we're getting closer with Millsap and Jokic having two. Jokic can pick him up in bunches, and he hasn't picked up a frustration foul yet in this game, so you never know when it's coming.
Yeah, here, watch this shot from Murray. I mean, that's squaring up. He's got the power off that uninjured right leg, but I mean, that's just a very, very difficult 3-point shot. Mitchell with a couple of free throws cuts it to 17. Conley maintaining the matchup on Murray, and it is still O'Neal on Jokic. And they're trying to get that screen, but O'Neal much better getting through the screen than Gobert, and Gobert hiding on Paul Millsap right now. Jokic with the hand in his face goes to the Sombor shuffle. It's the first time he's missed that in this series, I think. Good face guard by O'Neal there. Now Mitchell attacking. Spin move into the lane. Floater just drops out. Man, Donovan Mitchell just cannot get these short-range floaters. Now it's Grant wide open as the Jazz failed to match up in transition. They dodge a wide open corner three bullet. Mitchell ahead of the field to O'Neal. He'll take the three. Another one, missed open corner three from the Jazz as well. Good job by O'Neal getting back on Jokic. Three from Murray. Uh-oh. Oh, and Jokic is going to get called for the push. He goes over to talk to Billy Kennedy. Yeah, that's twice Jokic has picked up an obvious foul in the offensive rebounding action.
Yeah, and that's his third, so we're getting close to the danger zone with him as well. Yeah, clear foul.
Yeah, and what you got to do there, you've already has the size advantage. What I always try to do as a big guy there is put my chest into the guy, but keep both my arms free so he can't jump. As Mitchell tries to drop it to Gobert, O'Neal recovering. Grant is down. Hopefully he's okay. Now he's got to guard Donovan Mitchell. Double team comes from Millsap. Mitchell tries to get out of it, tries to draw the ball. Finally gets that floater to go after all the easy ones he missed.
So now the margin is down to 15. It is a 5-4 slow start to the second half for both these teams. Slow start, good for the Nuggets because it just reduces the time for Utah to come back.
Jokic, and then he's chucked. And that's always a good idea, especially if you're a star. If you just got called for a foul you don't agree with, even though it was an obvious foul, try to just do something obvious to draw a call, and just that little ticking clock in the ref's head of am I being fair or not can usually give you something. Jokic attacking Gobert, trying to draw the fourth foul. No dice. Gobert so good in the post against him in this series. Ingles pushing. Oh, he missed O'Neal. Too late with him, and O'Neal passes up the jumper. Now it's Mitchell. Turns the corner. Takes the three. Donovan Mitchell starting to get aggressive.
And a nice screen there by Joe Ingles. I think that was Millsap, couldn't get through.
I think that's 4 shots and 2 free throws already in this quarter for Mitchell. He's got their last 12 points. There comes that double team. They just look off Morris. Now they get it to him at the foul. I mean, that's super easy, but he blew the wide open free throw line jumper. Mitchell feeling it. Gets it to Ingles. He wants it back, though. Grant couldn't deny him. They want to involve Murray. They don't switch it, though. Now Mitchell, crossover into the lane. Floater, way short again. Goes back up, and he's stripped off his leg. Donovan Mitchell doing everything he can, and this is going to be an exhausting effort for him every single time attacking like this. And he looks tired. Look at him.
Yeah, and we're 4 minutes into the second half.
Now, these guys are great athletes. They can't recover. Uh-oh, Murray. Now, he's missed a couple of those after that first one that made you think he was heating up. Now, Ingles. Good defense by Millsap. O'Neal on the cut that goes nowhere. Back to Mitchell. He's going to try again. We saw he's tired. Look how exhausted he is right now. He's going to get the screen from Conley. He'll attack Murray late in the clock. Goes at him. Tries to draw the foul. But look at these ridiculous. How is he making these floaters? And he wants a foul call. Billy Kennedy, you could see the roll of his eyes of like, you're getting close here, Donovan. Don't go any further. I don't want to tee you up.
Well, he didn't air punch, so it's okay.
I mean, that's not a foul. Neither of those were fouls.
That was, yeah.
I mean, it was. I applaud Billy Kennedy for not making that call, despite the fact that the league tells him that he has to. And maybe because there was a timeout, it was okay. Or maybe Billy Kennedy thought, oh, I'm just gonna pretend that he was celebrating that made floater. So 10-point game here now, Danny. Mitchell is starting to come alive. He's up to 16 points. This timeout, actually, I think this actually helps the Utah Jazz because it's given Mitchell a chance to get his breath back. Like, he was exhausted. And I know Malone, feeling like it's getting away, wants to talk it over. But
Somebody asked if we can adjust the score thing. I think with the way that ABC does the broadcast, it's difficult to have both in and not show a significant portion of the game. I'm assuming that's why it's the way it is.
yeah.
Let's see. So the question we got before that I think is interesting was from going back to it from Andrew Powers. Does this series and the Rocket series disprove the theory about teams giving up easier in the bubble when they get down in a series? Yes and no. I think that especially in the Houston OKC series, it was never I as far as I recall, it wasn't ever really as over as this series appeared to be. But yeah, I think it has gone the other way. But we've also seen that in the series with a clearer talent disadvantage, that those have gone 1-2-3 Cancun pretty quickly.
So one thing I wanted to focus on here, Danny, like Denver's down themselves now to a 101 offensive rating. And remember, they made so many mid-rangers. They're starting to miss those a little bit. They made a bunch of threes at the beginning. They're starting to miss those. They're still not getting much at the rim, 7 of 12. And I think that the offensive glass on Denver's side of the ball is going to be a key battleground here going forward. With Denver starts missing shots, Jokic's good offensive rebounder. They've got the size and athleticism advantage when Porter comes in. Grant, Torrey Craig, all those guys, Millsap even, are more athletic and bigger than their Jazz opponents. And particularly with Gobert having to challenge Jokic on the outside, really the only guy who's a good rebounder other than Gobert on Utah is O'Neal. So if this gets down to like one of those rock fights, the effort level on that offensive glass for Denver might be what wins it for them.
So apparently ESPN's tool has Utah's win expectancy at 15%. Is that too high, just low, or just right? I think that's too low. I think that I would have it a little bit higher. But remember, the comebacks are memorable, but most of the time they don't happen.
Yep, no, that's a great point. Yeah, they're showing the Mitchell semi-exposure. I mean, think of where Mitchell would be if he just made his easy shots in this quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a little lower than an air punch, maybe. It's more of a ground punch. I don't know. I like the non-call though. All right, so Gobert is back now on Jokic, having navigated that initial period without the foul, and they go immediately to the screen for Jokic. Way short. Gobert got through the screen nicely. He's running the floor hard. Do they go back to Mitchell here? He's got Murray or Morris on him. Ingles, man, another missed corner three for the Jazz. I don't like that shot from Ingles. He wasn't really on balance. Now the steal by Conley. Jokic trying to catch up to him. Oh, he should have challenged him. Instead, he'll take the three. Big shot. Goes down.
Wow.
7-point game. Mike Conley. This is a 12-0 run now for Utah. Denver's got to start scoring. Jokic swings it around. Morris kept out of the middle nicely by Mitchell. Pick and pop Jokic. His three. They need it. No. Good box out from O'Neal. Utah can cut right into this again. Ingles is open. He attacks Millsap down the lane, finding Gobert. Gobert powering up. No call. I thought Ingles should have taken that shot. Now it's Millsap. Open three is Morris. Oh, what a huge exchange that was.
Royce O'Neal got caught helping and ball watching a little bit there. Couldn't get two places at once. Millsap with a nice pass to Monte Morris.
That was a great pass because it went right over O'Neal's head and he couldn't intercept. Now they slow it down a little bit again. Frantic pace. Mitchell swings it to Ingles. Conley, not the guy you want to leave open, but he misses that spot up three. He's been deadly on those spot ups. Denver a chance to restore order. They're back to a double-digit lead. Murray. Mitchell on his back. Pump fake. Tries to draw it. Cannot. Conley looking to push it. Wants to find Mitchell. No, the quick fake. Nashes it along the baseline. It's still Millsap on him. Mitchell wants it back, and they give it to Conley to go at Paul Millsap.
10 seconds.
Millsap digs in.
Nothing. So
Crossover. Conley getting past him. Draws the foul.
And that, I mean, Conley was gnashing along the baseline, but they didn't really get into a half-court action until about 9 seconds left in the shot clock.
That was good timing, by the way, from Conley. He saw Jokic clear out the lane on the 2.9. That's when he started his drive. Paul Millsap has looked a little slower on some of these switches than earlier in his career. Gobert screening for Mitchell. They get a double screen now. Mitchell trying to attack. Euro. Layup. Went right around Murray. That was a very interesting idea. What they did there was with Jokic coming up on that pick and roll, they set another screen on Jokic. It's almost like a Spain pick and roll, but 35 feet from the basket. Here's Murray attacking. He gets stripped. Jamal Murray has not found the going easy here in the third.
And that was a really nice dig from Joe Ingles, betting that Murray couldn't find Torrey Craig and that Torrey Craig couldn't hit the shot, gets the dig, gets the ball knocked out.
I mean, again, like I've said this before, but the amount of ground these guys cover on these Euro steps is ridiculous. Gobert out on Murray. Murray couldn't find Jokic on the roll. Now Jokic will take the jumper. Man, that is just butter. It looks so nice when it goes in, doesn't it?
Yeah, the arc on it.
Mitchell off the screen, engaging Grant. Gets a screen to go at Murray again. They want to tire out Murray a little bit. Mitchell pulls up. That's not a good shot, though. He was not on balance. Not a good look. His advantage against Murray is getting by him. Now Murray looking for the handoff. Goes at Gobert. Nice defense from Gobert. They'll switch back behind the play. Jokic trying to attack Gobert. Into the lane. No foul call. Good job by Gobert not fouling. That was close. O'Neal is open. His three. Yes! Royce O'Neal. It's back to 7 again. Jazz defense.
I'm a little bit surprised Jokic didn't pick up a frustration foul there.
Now the high screen. Murray attacking Gobert. Gobert with the rejection. Rudy Gobert. What a defensive quarter it's been from the defensive player of the year.
That's trusting your size. Gobert did not leave his feet until the ball was released from Jamal Murray. Gets the block easily. Don't commit. Can't get called for a foul.
Rudy Gobert is one of the best in the league at not going for pump fakes. Now Murray's going to try him again. Tough fader over him. That misses. Clarkson has returned to the game. He'll get the rebound. Clarkson attacking Craig. Goes at him. Tries to force it up. Not a good shot.
And nice patience there from Torrey Craig. Just stayed with Clarkson. Didn't commit to anything.
And Utah, they're playing with a little bit too much desperation offensively. Here's Gary Harris. Not a good shot there. It's a long two. Just fresh
Speaking
into the
desperation.
game. Yeah, I mean, Utah, you're back in it now. You don't need to play with this kind of desperation. I think they need a little bit more smarts here offensively. Mitchell, who's carried such a load in this quarter, goes into the mix, goes for the floater on the third difficult floater of the quarter from Mitchell. He's had the better of that matchup with Murray. These two guys guarding each other now. What drama this is. Now Murray with Gobert out on the floor. Great pick and roll defense again from Gobert. Jokic looks to hand off to Grant, who's been uninvolved this quarter. Now he's going to go at Gobert, trying to draw the fourth again. That's a nice step through, but he blew the layup. These guys are exhausted right now. The intensity level is off the charts. Ingles getting it back to Mitchell. Gary Harris is on him. They want to get the switch. They don't. Try again. Mitchell trying to get through Harris, and another foul is called as Gary Harris did not force him to use the screen.
And Denver has 10 points in 9.5 minutes so far in this third quarter.
Yeah, and I mean, how many good shots have they gotten? Maybe like 2 or 3 in this whole quarter?
Yeah, that's a great point.
And they're getting away now, Denny, with playing that Jokic and Murray pick and roll handoff game 2-on-2. Gobert has been awesome. And I think maybe if I were the Nuggets, I would be trying to involve Ingles instead. The other thing that's been really interesting is it hasn't been Royce O'Neal. It's been either Conley or Mitchell guarding Jamal Murray. And, maybe Murray, that quad contusion is bothering him a little bit, but he hasn't been as molten to where, at the end of some of these games, he's just been able to like get the size advantage on these guys and shoot right over them. Should we
That's an interesting.
let's do a read here first, Danny.
Oh, sure, let's do that. Bookies.com is a great resource. I mean, you and I talk a lot about the value of time and how everything is in one place. So if you're over the age of 21, bookies.com/NBA, the latest live odds, expert picks, and live online sign-up deals. Also, you can follow them at Bookies. Sometimes they do great things with our content, but also just they're a great follow in general if you want to get up-to-date information.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow them at Bookies on Twitter. Also, great deals clicking through to the best deals on live betting in your state. If gambling is legal, you got a really good deal at PointsBet right at that bookies.com/NBA link. And thanks, of course, to bookies.com for their support. So, yeah, you said you had an interesting question you wanted to get to?
And let me see if I can find it again. So the question was from Alex27K on Periscope. Who would the Clippers prefer to play out of this matchup?
I think it would be Utah. Because Jokic is someone who I think they don't have a great matchup for him. I mean, maybe Zubac could do a good job on him, but I think ultimately Utah just has no one to guard their guys. Whereas Denver, they actually, Millsap, Craig, and Gary Harris would probably do an okay job on Paul George, Jeremy Grant. Like, those guys have some size. And then Jokic with his stretch ability, the Jazz are a pretty conventional matchup offensively and defensively at this point. Yes, they have Gobert, who's really good, but the Clippers have enough good shooters. Like Gobert, I don't think he's going to be a huge problem for Kawhi because he likes to work in the mid-range so much. So I think if I were the Clippers, I would rather play Utah.
Yeah, I agree, especially with Bogdanovich out. I think that, just there aren't as many creators sometimes, because Jokic can do so much with the ball in his hands. It would be interesting, but yeah, I think I would lean your direction as well, especially now that Harris is back, even though he's playing limited minutes right now. But assume he'll get better physically each day. That would be the expectation and the hope for Denver's perspective.
Yeah, they're showing the Gobert montage here. I mean, has Murray looked different to you at all? I mean, it's easy to say, he hasn't been as dynamic. So,
not really.
Yeah.
I think that his drives have been affected by Gobert being there, but I don't think that's necessarily Murray's legs and the jump shot. I mean, he drilled that first one, no problem.
Yeah, I forgot that Giannis has already been named Defensive Player of the Year this year, but he can still be at it. Here's Mitchell way out there, and it's just
don't need a 4-point
right,
shot.
Exactly. So Murray is out now. They're gonna screen for Jokic across on Gobert. Gobert gets through it again, but he doesn't force. Yeah, I mean that's the shot that Jokic is hitting. I think if you're Gobert, you really got to force him to put it on the floor with that shot because that's really what he's been hurting you with. Double team on Mitchell at the point of attack, and he loses it. Porter recovers. Get it back to Jokic. Think Jokic and Gobert are going to go the whole way here? You imagine Gobert will. Here's Harris trying to Euro step. No dice. Oh, knocked away. Mitchell tries to save it. Royce O'Neal has been excellent in this quarter as well defensively.
This would be an interesting time for either of these coaches to pull their big just like for, a minute or a minute and a half of extra rest, but then you get that on top of the quarter break potentially. We've seen LeBron has gotten those at times too.
Yeah, I mean I think with the amount of time Gobert's had here's a 3 from Jokic. Oh, that's a huge shot. And really Gobert was what opened that up was a back screen with Torrey Craig, Gobert to help on that, and then Jokic stepping out. He's been shooting on the move much more often than we've seen. So it's back to 10, and they're going to foul Conley. That's 2 free throws in favor of Mike Conley. Yeah, and
remember, go ahead.
I was going to say Gobert. I mean, there really wasn't much of a back cut there. He kind of just let Jokic step out for a 3. I mean, and Jokic, as he had that one dunk on Morgan. I think every other shot he's made has been a jumper. I'm off the top of my head. Let's see if that's actually true.
He's had 2 in the restricted area, 2 of 6 there, and then everything else has been a mid range or further.
Conley hitting the free throw.
And remember, the Jazz had only 3 free throws through the first, I think it was like 18 minutes of this game, but they're getting to the line a little bit more regularly now. Now there's the free throw attempt margin is going to be even after the second Conley free throw.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see. Mike Malone, he went with Jokic in the entire second half in, I think, both game sevens that they played last year. He looked pretty exhausted by the end of both of those. But Gobert has had much more time to sit in the first half. I don't know how much that's actually going to matter. That time, Gobert making the catch tough. Swing it back to Porter. He goes after O'Neal. Porter along the baseline. Gobert switches out. Conley was late rotating to Jokic. Oh, they're lucky, and that's a nice rebound from Mitchell among some of those bigger Denver players. Let's see if Mitchell can get going again here. They don't switch that. Mitchell, nice backdoor Gobert. Oh, I thought he got fouled.
He did. Yeah, that would have been. Would that have been Jokic's third?
This is his
fourth?
fourth, Danny.
Oh, they called
Yeah.
it. It's the right call. I mean, he hit Gobert. That's absolutely the right call.
Yeah. And so it's been a couple of fouls here. I mean, the 2 over the backbreakers, and they finally get Jokic for. I mean, that's just it's such an asinine foul. You always hate these. It's like, what are you doing? Just shoving him in the back. Either like grab him and don't let him score, or just let him go. Like, you're not gonna stop him by shoving him in the back.
Yeah, especially not somebody with Gobert's like length and size. He didn't really do anything to affect the actual finish. And that's a really damaging foul potentially for the Nuggets, not only because theoretically now Jokic is going to sit, but also because he might play more tentatively on both ends. Remember, he's picked up a couple of over the backbreakers. That's how he's at 4.
Now here's Murray, swings it to Porter. Porter with the tough 3. He has just been way off on these jumpers. Jazz can cut it now to a single possession. They have in 2-for-1 position. Mitchell waves everyone away. He wants to involve Porter on the screen. They're not going to switch this. Clarkson's got to make more contact on the screen. Force him to switch it. Mitchell, pump fake, misses. Gobert almost picked up his 4th with a weak reach for the ball. Conley guarding Porter. Porter doesn't have the advantage on him. I think they should see if they can get Porter in the post. Interesting that it's Conley on Porter and O'Neal on Harris. I would switch that matchup if I were the Jazz.
And now it's Clarkson on Porter. Go after that.
Here's Harris stepping back. Missing that. Rudy Gobert. They got time. Mitchell's got to push it a little harder. He's got Clarkson. Clarkson will push it a little harder. His 3. No good. Jazz had a couple of chances there to get it to 1 possession. Did not take advantage.
I was going to see if I could pull up Denver's shot chart from just the third quarter, but it doesn't look like I can do that just yet. So we can get some of your questions. From AJ Wall, should the Nuggets play Millsap instead of Plumlee at the 5? I mean, Millsap needs some rest as well, if they're going to close with him, which I think they will.
No, they're not going to close with him. No way. They haven't closed any of
small?
these games with him lately.
I know, but I'm thinking that lineup has actually done reasonably well this time around.
Yeah. I would be shocked if they did. I mean, I think it's going to be... Yeah, that's an interesting question of who Malone is going to close with. I mean, is it going to be Craig or Mike Porter or Gary Harris in that extra spot? Are they going to go with Monte Morris? Tough question.
Well, and what's interesting about Michael Porter's shot line overall in this game is that he has 10 points on 9 shooting possessions, and we've talked about his danger as a jump shooter. 2 of 2 in the restricted area, 1 of 5 everywhere else on jump shots.
Yeah, he does have that one corner 3, and that's about it. Yeah, let's hit some more questions, though.
Let's see. Who would have predicted these offensive ratings for Game 7? This is a little bit extreme, but we see Game 7s be tight for a couple different reasons. Like, that's something that has been true before. Off the top of my head, I seem to remember that. So this extreme, no. I mean, like an 87 and a 94, no, you wouldn't have gotten that. But, below what the high water marks of the series, that seems totally reasonable to me.
Well, and also, hey, they're not shooting 45% from 3 anymore, right? Like Jazz 29%, Nuggets at 33%, and 0 offensive rebounds for Denver in that quarter. teams are even in turnovers at 9. So the when you're not scoring well, that possession battle becomes ever more important.
Yeah, and the free throw line battle has even that was a small advantage for Denver early that is now actually an attempt advantage for Utah, but Denver's made 9 of 11, whereas 8 of 12 for the Utah Jazz.
Jokic has not been himself as a playmaker, which hurts. Well, that's all Rudy Gobert. They haven't been
Yeah,
able to draw help. Like his drive game hasn't been that good, and he can't post up Gobert. Like he's been relegated to really being more of a play finisher as a jump shooter, which to his credit, he has played that role exceedingly well, much better than I thought he had in him. I think it's actually maybe mentally just embracing that that's where his shots are going to come from, as opposed to taking them as a last resort, has actually really helped him make more of them potentially. But that's why you haven't seen those high assist totals.
Ben Taylor just tweeted out that he demands that all game sevens be played on neutral court from here on out. It has been pretty interesting to see how the dynamics are different and to see, I mean, yes, it is true that the ostensible home team is leading by 5 here, but the dynamics of this are totally different.
What else we got here?
Let's see. Should the Jazz run more Ingles Gobert pick and roll? Yes, I absolutely think they should, especially when Michael Porter Jr. is in the game, which he has been. But yeah, I think that can do well for Utah. And they can go with some of these kind of more basic meat and potato stuff. They're usually doing pretty well at it.
Should the Jazz run more Ingles Gobert pick and roll?
I was just talking about that, but I'm interested in your thoughts.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading other questions and I settled on the
That's
exact
fine.
same ones. All right, we're back here. Mitchell remains in the game. Clarkson, he's got to make some contact on these screens. He's just slipping them, and they're not getting anything out of them. Now Clarkson has Porter. Plumlee looking to come over and help on the strong side. He does. Clarkson, well defended by Porter. Goes down. Great defense. And I think they're going to give a shot clock violation for Denver, but that was really good D. And it all starts to me, though, with them not setting a good enough screen to get the matchup that they want. Denver is doing a great job avoiding those dreaded low resistance switches that Houston gave up so easily last night. Murray is back. Harris into the lane, swings it to Murray. Plumlee setting the screen. Murray forced away from the screen. Three-pointer from Craig. Big one, misses. Gobert is still in. You imagine that he and Mitchell will go the distance here after their first half rests with 3 fouls. Pick and roll. Mitchell, nice fake. Conley is open for 3. Oh, man, they just have been missing these threes. But Gobert, he just got stopped. Oh, and how does he not get called for a technical? Now here's a drive from Harris. Harris into the lane. Misses. O'Neal can't corral the rebound, though. Rudy Gobert can't believe it.
It looked to me like he got fouled pretty clearly by Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, I think we're about to see it. I mean, that's hands part of the ball. Now, Plumlee kind of got him first. And then Gobert didn't get back. He might have helped get that rebound. Plumlee not a threat at that range. Murray looking to attack Mitchell. Mitchell has been doing everything defensively. Murray getting at Gobert again. Does not take it over and gets it stripped. Has to create now. Late clock. Good help from Conley. 3 is up. Nice rebound by Gobert. Great defense again from the Jazz. And what are we going to get here? Is that a makeup call? Yeah. Makeup call as Plumlee picks up. And Danny, let's remember that foul when they're shooting free throws later in the quarter.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, the early fouls in the second and fourth that could come back to bite you and also slow down the game, which I think you can argue it benefits both teams. But Utah, if they're going to play their 2 stars the whole way in the second half, I think it helps them more.
Conley pick and roll with Gobert. Conley attacking down the lane. Scores on Plumlee. Mason Plumlee can be attacked in space and Mike Conley just going right to the rim. It's a 3-point game. Denver cannot score right now. How long is Malone going to leave Jokic on the bench? Here's Porter. Ingles with good help, but Conley lost Harris for a big 3. Denver can't get it. Now Mitchell pushing it. He'll back it out. Mitchell wanted it back against Murray. Instead, Conley will attack. He'll go down the lane. He floats it up. Gobert is there. 1-point game. Mitch and Mike Malone is going to get the timeout. You imagine Jokic will surely have to return now.
And great job there by Mike Conley getting Mason Plumlee to commit. And while Conley missed the shot, it meant the offensive glass was going to be wide open for Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, the Jazz finally making some hay out of their normal pick and roll offense against Plumlee.
Which 2000s Pistons series is this game most like? That I'll defer to you because that was more your wheelhouse than mine.
Let's see, what are the offensive ratings? 90 and 87. Well, I would say that this is a lot like Denver's Game 7 last year against San Antonio and Portland.
Oh, God, that game was rough.
Right? I mean, those were just very low scoring, rock fights. Everyone was exhausted.
Somebody asked if Conley or Mitchell has been better. Mitchell has been better overall. Remember, Conley, I think he was 1 for 5 in the first half, wasn't creating a ton for other people. He's been much better in the third quarter and the fourth than he was earlier. But I would say overall, Mitchell's had the stronger game.
Yeah, I wonder if the biggest play of this game wasn't that Joe Ingles' thigh to the or knee to the thigh of Murray. I mean, there has been great defense on him, but he has not seemed like he's had the same confidence attacking the basket and shooting some of those step backs for three. The defense has been better, and I guess we'll never know how much of it was the injury and how much was just better defense and how much was just the fatigue of a Game 7 or what.
Des made the note that Murray doesn't have any lanes to drive through. I think that's partially true, and partially that sometimes he's had a lane, but then Gobert's been standing there, and that's affected Jamal Murray, just like it affects everybody when Gobert is standing there in the lane. And sometimes it's not about shots blocked, it's about shots altered and deterred, and I think we've seen some of Gobert's effect there in this very limited scoring. So right now, Denver scored 15 points in the third quarter, and they've scored 0 in the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Will Plumlee make Team USA again after his play tonight? Is that Seth Partnow? Seth, is that your alias, AJ Wall, in this chat?
Somebody asked when Tim McMahon tweets, this game has been pretty, but no complaints. I don't think a game being pretty is necessary, like being pretty or not pretty is a complaint. So no, I think that's fair. Some people like ugly basketball more than I do, but the competitiveness of this, like part of the reason it's been uglier is that guys have really been trying defensively since the start.
Yeah, so the Nuggets have 15 points in the second half, Danny.
Yeah.
So let's see if we're going to see Jokic again now. 4D replay. How about we get like the game in like 3D first, actually? How about that? Before we start calling it 4D.
Oh, and so on Unpredictable now, the odds, Denver's winning odds are down to, I think it's 59.8.
Jokic has indeed returned. Mitchell continues to do the work guarding Jamal Murray. They want to screen for him with Harris. Then he slips it. Harris has been shooting it. He's not been making it, though. Very interested to see who Malone is going to go with around Jokic and Murray at the end here. Grant obviously will be out there, too. Who are the other two guys going to be? Conley blows past. Wide open three for the lead. O'Neal can't get it. Gobert keeping it alive. Conley's going to try again. Gets the screen. Gobert switches the angle. Swinging around to Ingles. He missed O'Neal open in the corner. Now it's Conley on the drive. Using his body. Misses again. Finally, Denver corrals it. Will we look back on that as a critical possession when they could have taken the lead? Murray has Conley. He wants to wave everyone away. Murray's looking pretty tired, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Gobert's got to get out on Jokic a little more. Here's the cut from Harris. Ingles is there. Jokic stepping back. These guys are so tired already. Jokic stopped from behind. Gobert just crushed it. Now Jokic is behind.
Fantastic recovery.
Mitchell, open three. Still can't get the lead. Gobert again. Gobert fouled.
And Gobert has been absolutely spectacular in the second half.
Yeah, he spent so much time stewing in that second quarter. We questioned Quinn Snyder, and that's not even close for Jokic.
He blocked that with his forearm.
We questioned Quinn Snyder for taking out Mitchell and Gobert, and maybe thought that they just weren't playing well enough as well. He wanted to motivate them. They held the fort down with some crazy lineups, including just Mitchell came back in. They had no center at all out there. O'Neal was the center and got it within 14, and then they have dominated here in the second half, and this to take the lead from Gobert. Yes, sir. 2 free throws from Gobert, who struggled at the line in this series. And sphincter tightening time for Denver. Can they, Jokic and Murray, get going here? No advantage gained on that first screen. Good help from Conley to stunt over. Then he denies Harris as well. Great defense from him. Great defense from Mitchell, cutting off Murray. He's got to create now late in the clock. Creating the space as Ingles came over to help. What another defensive possession from the Jazz. 4 guys in lockstep on that possession. Now Ingles leaving for Gobert, going at Jokic, and scores! And one! Jokic
and
with his
5th.
5th! Unbelievable second half turnaround. And, I mean, this series has had everything, Danny. Like, the crazy yo-yoing in this series, in these games. I mean, just what a basketball series. And that's a clear foul on Jokic. Had the arms forward when the contact occurred.
And we've seen, I'm trying to think of how many 15-plus point leads we've had blown. There have been a couple where the team still won the game. I think that's 4 in this series already.
Gobert can't get the free throw. But, I mean, Denver, they might need to score more than 15 points in the second half if they want to win. I mean, the effort level from Utah defensively has been unbelievable. And they're just going to ISOs right now. And I guess, is that a foul on Gobert for his 4th? No, I think they got a defensive 3 seconds maybe on Conley.
No, they called that on, I think they called that on Gobert. Yeah, they did. That's his 4th.
Big call there. Jokic remains in the game with 5 as Malone could feel it slipping away. Jokic looking to drive off the Murray screen. Late clock again. Murray has to pull up. There's Jokic trying to get the offensive glass. Instead, it's tipped out. Drive from Murray. He misses. Great finish there finally from Jokic as Denver, I mean, how is that their first points of the quarter?
It is.
I mean, Utah hasn't exactly been like scorching the nets here either. High pick and roll Conley. They want to tire out Murray still. Gobert on the roll. Nice play by Gary Harris, but his feet were on the line.
That was Denver's first points since Jokic made a 3 with 1:47 remaining in the third quarter.
And Gobert was worried about not picking up the foul. Here's Ingles on the drive, floats it up, not even close. Gobert again, Ingles again, Gobert again, Gobert again. No!
Wow. And these guys are gassed, like they're not even pushing down the floor.
Here's Ingles trying to draw the charge. They give him the blocking foul. Instead, good call. Harris went to the Euro step. That is very close. Would Quinn Snyder consider a challenge here? Let's see if we can get it. Ooh. I mean, looked to me like he took it right in his chest. As the rule is called now, what do you think of that one?
I think, as the rule is called now, I think that's a charge. He was in guarding position, was pretty stable.
But Snyder does not challenge, and Gary Harris ties it at 68. Now, one thing I've been monitoring here, it's been a lot of Jokic ISOs, Jokic post-ups, two-man game, very little diversity offensively for the Nuggets right now compared to the Jazz. Harris misses the second free throw. We're tied. This might go into overtime tied at 68 at this rate. They want to involve Murray again. That's the plan, to tire him out. Looks like Malone is going to go with Gary Harris defensively. Mitchell attacking Harris. Oh, what defense! Gobert gets it back, though. Tries to get it up. No, they don't have time.
Yeah, no, it ended up not mattering, but no Nuggets reacted to the air ball, but it was late enough that nothing happened.
Yeah, Mitchell and Murray don't have the juice to create the space one-on-one as we saw earlier in the series, but Gary Harris, that is not an advantage matchup. He is going to stop Donovan Mitchell most of the time one-on-one. Now they try to run something different, a little flex action. Get it to Murray, now pick and roll coming with Jokic. Swings it to Craig. Mitchell with a good denial. Late clock again. Driving is Jokic. Help comes from Ingles. Great defense again. The Jazz just stuffing everything. Denver's got to get more ball movement.
And Royce O'Neal coming in from the corner, that was too hard a pass for Jokic to make.
And Conley, Gobert again. Conley gets the rebound, and he's going to get fouled. Man, I mean, this is just... I know this is ugly basketball, but holy crap are these guys playing hard right now.
Yeah, and they're playing hard with basically nothing left in the tank, and we have 6 minutes to go in this game, and I don't think we're going to see many subs.
Yeah, every shot at the rim, every rebound, every loose ball is just incredibly contested. They get into Conley. Conley's looked like he's had the most juice of anyone. Mitchell has been exhausted defending against Murray. They want to screen away for Ingles here. He then screens Murray. No, it's Gobert. Ingles creating the space. Gobert down the lane. Nice help from Murray. Gobert with the Euro step in the lane. This 2-point lead feels almost insurmountable. Look how exhausted Mitchell is right now. Murray gives it up. Malone may need to get some more offense on the floor at some of these other positions. And now Jokic beating Gobert, tries to fight it up inside. The quick first step of skinny Jokic. That's really the first time he's beaten Gobert. And is Snyder going to get a timeout here? Yeah, I think he saw the way Gobert just got beaten and decided that he needs a little bit of a break.
So it's 5:20 to go. Tie game. Leading scorers, Nikola Jokic, 26 points, 10 of 20 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line. And Donovan Mitchell, 20 points, 8 of 20 from the field, 2 of 2 from the line.
Yeah, I mean, these overall stats right now, tied at 70 on 79 possessions. So super slow pace and super low efficiency. 45 and 44% true shooting. But I mean, all of these indicators are almost exactly the same for either team. Nobody's getting to the foul line. What do you think in terms of personnel? Did you stick with these guys? I mean, I think for the Jazz, it's clear they're going to have their starters out there. Are you going to stick with these guys if you're Malone, or would you try to go in another direction?
I think that if Gary Harris is going to have the primary matchup on Donovan Mitchell, which I support, even though he's been limited as an offensive player, maybe go with Porter or Monte Morris as the fifth guy, just because they need something here. Remember, you brought up the 15 one. Denver scored 20 points in 19 minutes so far in the second half. You need something else out there.
Haverstraw is in the comments. He says, if Tim McMahon tweets, this game hasn't been pretty, but no complaints, Tom wants a ruling on whether that is a complaint. I think it's an observation.
I think it's not.
It's an observation.
I think it's an observation, not a complaint. Now, from some people, I would see that as a complaint, but no, it has. But it has. I mean, I've enjoyed the hell out of this game, so I'm not going to say it's a complaint.
Oh man, that was terrifying. The computer I'm running this on just asked me if I wanted to update all of my drivers right now.
Let's see. Different people talking about the block charge call. Reminds me of something Dan Tony said in Phoenix, the faster you run, the more energy you'll have. I mean, I think it's different when these players are engaging so much defensively. Like that's what takes so much out is you think about players like Jamal Murray and Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell going 100% on both ends for basically all of the minutes they're playing. Not to shame people, it's just the human body only has so much. Those guys don't do that very often, and it's exceedingly tiring.
Would you consider Porter here, or do you just not trust him at this point?
I'd consider him. I consider Monte Morris.
Yeah.
I think Torrey Craig is not as he's not as much of a value add as he would have been at other points in the series because they're already playing Gary Harris.
Yeah, I mean, now if you have Morris, that gives them two places to attack between Murray, Jokic, and Morris. I mean, that's a lot of places to go after. So I think the thought is to just have one more athletic guy out there.
Yeah, and that's a luxury you can have when you've scored more than 20 points in 19 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, but they're playing good defense too, you know. So Malone is like a defensive guy first, and I would have to say this, Danny. I don't believe whether it's fatigue, whether it's that quad. I mean, it's not like he was having an unbelievable game to start, but Jamal Murray doesn't look like the same player.
Yeah, it doesn't look like somebody that he's going to make like 5 contested shots down the line. Now, I've been wrong before, but it doesn't look like that to me either.
Yeah, they got it in Conley's hands, guarded by Craig. They stick with the same groups, both teams. They want to involve Harris here. Now, why did they switch Gary Harris onto Conley for an ISO 3? What was the point of that? Really?
Yeah, like that's when you don't go to a small pick and roll.
Yeah, why not bring Jamal Murray into the action instead? Now they run the screening for Jokic. I mean, I think he should just take that first jumper. Like, that's the shot he's been making. Instead, it's back to goal against Gobert. Wants to draw the fifth. Underneath, great pass. Here's Craig. Lefty layup gives Denver the lead. One of the first times that we've seen Denver get one of those passes, and I think they overhelped a little bit there on Jokic. I didn't see who it was who gave up that cut underneath. Here's Conley. Craig stays with him. No advantage gain. They want to get back to Mitchell. Great denial by Harris. Not letting him get it. Here's Ingles across the lane. Pump fake. Tries to draw the foul. Gets the layup.
And Jeremy Grant jumped there, but he didn't really jump forward, so that made it harder for Ingles to draw the foul, though Ingles probably could have if he wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, that was good defense, but a nice finish by Ingles. And they didn't close out to his left hand. Here's Jokic. Goes for the floater in pick and roll. Bounces in. First time we've really seen at all Nikola Jokic getting that high pick and roll floater in this series. That's really been taken away. And I think if you're Utah, you got to force some of these guys like Craig and Harris to beat you with the three-pointer now. Denver's starting to get it going. And now it's steal. Murray looking to push it. Sets up Harris. Big three on the right wing. Oh, man, Gary Harris just has not been able to score it. Now Murray is wide open.
Dodging.
Oh, man. And can we get the real camera angle again? Thank you. Now Ingles. Gobert right down the lane. Sets up Conley. Nice closeout for Murray. Mitchell pulling up. He's way short.
And that was a huge recovery from Jeremy Grant. He came out from the corner to stop Gobert to make the pass and then bet on his teammate to recover, which Torrey Craig did.
Great job there rotating by the Nuggets. Now they get Ingles onto Murray. Murray still exhausted. Ingles is with him. Get it back to Jokic. He's got to take the three. Gobert closed out short, but the shot was short as well.
Yeah, and that's something that happens when guys don't have much legs left.
They're going to be going a long time here. Here's the drive for Mitchell. Down the lane. Layup is good to tie it.
And Jokic can't help because he has 5 fouls.
I mean, that was like the first semi-transition play for Utah in days. Now it's Murray going at Mitchell, and he kisses it off the glass, and he caught him napping just a little bit, didn't use the screen. All of a sudden, these quick semi-transition attacks.
Yeah, we're all in quick twitch
Dude,
now.
this is gonna be a long time with no timeouts too, unless there's a foul. And Conley finally gives everyone a break by almost throwing it off of Jokic's foot. Yeah, Mitchell exhausted after that last drive. You'll see guys a lot of times. This has been the case with Harden too. A hard driving move like that, and you just don't quite have the legs for the next defensive possession. Ingles tried to draw the foul. They ain't calling that right now. Here's Gobert on the roll. Conley couldn't get it to him. Now he attacks. He's at stripped. It's off Gobert with 2.1 on the shot clock. Denver a chance to build the first 2-possession lead we've seen in some time. Jokic and Murray together again. Jokic waving Craig into the corner. They've got Grant in the dunker spot. I would put Craig in the dunker spot and Grant shooting it. They're just running the time down. Murray on the drive, gets past Gobert. Where is Jamal Murray summoning this from right now?
And he had a very limited layup angle there, but gets it right off the glass, and Gobert didn't have a real chance to block it because it would have been a goaltend.
O'Neal, he goes right to the rim. Very interesting call, and the key was he actually made contact on the screen, and then Jokic in no position to stop that O'Neal drive. Now it's O'Neal on Murray. They want to post up Grant on Conley, of all things. Back out Murray, 10 on the clock. Murray off the ball again. O'Neal gets through it. Double teaming Murray. Stepping back off 1 foot. Throws it off the bottom of the backboard. And this will be a shot clock violation.
Shot clock violation.
Oh.
These guys are so
well,
gone.
And the adjustment from Utah, I think they're putting O'Neal back on Murray just to get a fresh body and to save Mitchell's legs a little bit after that last play where Murray beat him for the kiss off the glass.
And a great job there, not only by Royce O'Neal getting through the screen, but by Conley moving off of Jeremy Grant, betting that Murray couldn't make that pass, and they also had help around the basket in the form of one Rudy Gobert.
Huge play here. No offense, defense for Mike Malone because he's got his defensive. Oh, no, he did go offense, defense. He's got Plumlee out there. I don't know about this. Plumlee can be taken advantage of here. Let's see what happens. They want to involve Murray with the screen here from O'Neal. He sets it. Mitchell tries to draw the foul. Can't. Tries to get at Harris. Swings it. Conley. Into the lane. O'Neal with the fake. Now it's Conley. Late clock. He'll drive. Floater. No. Up to Gobert for the dunk.
Oh, what a pass.
He sucked Mason Plumlee in just enough.
Was that an illegal? Just a second. Was that an illegal inbound?
What just happened? No, I think they had a timeout. I think they called timeout beforehand.
They called time. Maybe they had.
So watch this. Watch this, Danny. Plumlee steps up too hard. Craig had him. Plumlee is always overeager, and that opens up the pass. And it's been in the comments that Conley and Gobert didn't have the chemistry, and that time Conley found him for a perfect pass. And
it should have been an in also.
Big time. So let's reset here. Tied at 78, 47 and a half left. I'm going to actually turn off the stats and the tweets here just so we don't get any spoilers for you guys.
And so the most important thing here to me as Denver is that you're going. I mean, so you try to get the 2-for-1 in no small part because of the chance that you miss the shot here. Because if you get it, then Utah's probably going to move more quickly. But if you miss it, then you would theoretically, if you don't go quickly enough, then Utah could just hold for the last shot. So you shoot here probably about 34, 32?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go a little later because, of course, there's you can get a timeout.
Advance on timeout, yeah.
And not give up the 2-for-1 for them. Yeah, I mean, you definitely, the 2-for-1, I mean, Denver has the advantage here. They have tied it, but I'm interested to see what they run. I mean, your problem, though, with the 2-for-1 is you're kind of limited in that you can't necessarily run a great play. You know, it's going to got to kind of be high pick and roll, something like that.
Yeah, we'll see if the home crowd can...
that should have been an and one, dude. How did they miss that? He hit him right in the face. That's one that if the Jazz lose this will be talked about. All right, they get it into Murray. They're going to try and run some clock here. Jokic coming up to set the screen now with about 37. O'Neal gets through it, gives it up. They're not going to get the 2-for-1. Jokic trying to get it. Double team comes. Pump fake, can't get it. Hook shot. Yes! What a play by Jokic.
That was also like, I think at least 5 seconds in the lane for Jokic, but that rarely gets called.
Utah has 2 timeouts. They're going to go. They've got their play set up, and now Snyder will get the timeout. Yeah, that's a good timeout with 2 left. They didn't have any kind of an advantage. What a shot from Jokic. It's basically his first bucket in the post all series, and he's a little more comfortable kind of stepping to his right. 97 pivots.
And Denver has a timeout here, so I think you go full defensive personnel here. Go with as with all your guys, especially because they'll have more fresh legs. And then if you have to be ready quick on the draw to call the timeout in case you get into a circumstance where the guy who hopefully you get for their sake you get the rebound, that you get the rebound and they don't get a foul.
I would go with Millsap here at center.
I would too.
But I mean, he is old and he has been on the bench for a long time. He's only played 14 minutes. But Plumlee, I know Jokic or Malone loves him, and Jokic has never been my favorite defender. But Plumlee is just so jumpy and mistake prone that could be a concern.
I mean, they might end up having both of them on the floor with Grant at the 3, Craig and Harris. That could be the lineup here.
So now the other question for Utah is, you still have a timeout left. Are you going to go for a 3? That's what the math says. If they were on the road in a real normal Game 7, then you'd really say that. Donovan Mitchell has been completely shut down by Gary Harris. I might try something off the ball here for Mitchell. See if you could get him a spot up 3 early in the possession.
You know one reason you might not go for a 3 here? Jokic has 5 fouls. Here we go.
Harris denies him in bounds. They get it into O'Neal. Mitchell trying to get it. Harris won't even let him get the ball. And they call a timeout. Good timeout there. But, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's got to just fight a little harder to get open than that. And he may just not have the energy. So does that change things at all? Probably doesn't really.
Yes.
You think it does that they've used their last timeout?
Well, because now you can't advance the ball. So if you foul, if you I guess they're gonna go quickly anyway. So I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean they're down 2. You're gonna have to foul regardless. I mean it gives you a little more impetus to go fast now.
Wait, no, you don't have to foul regardless if you miss. If you're gonna foul regardless if you miss.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But so they need a little more time. But I mean, it's really, to me, it's all about just getting the best possible shot on this possession because you're pretty much sunk regardless now at this point.
Yeah,
you have to hope for a missed free throw, and then you got to go the length of the court. So, yeah, I mean, they wanted to try. Gary Harris has been unbelievable defensively in the fourth quarter. They gotta, if they're gonna go to Mitchell, they got to either set a monster screen with a guard to get him open, or do something off ball, or I might go with Conley instead in the pick and roll. I think he's had the most success of anyone given what the matchups are.
And he's also done a nice job as a distributor, which also, of course, counts because you're trying to create the best possible shot.
All right, let's see if there are any personnel changes here. Plumlee is out there for Denver. They'll inbound. They have to do it from pretty deep here now. It's not to Conley. It's going to be to Mitchell. Harris denies him again. They get it into the backcourt. They've got 10 to shoot. Mitchell attacking. Knocked away by Harris. And now Denver is pushing it. And why did they do that? There's still time. They got to push it ahead. Here's Conley. He'll shoot it for 3. Oh!
Oh!
What a ridiculous finish to a ridiculous series. Mitchell got it taken away. Gary Harris is the hero. They miss a layup on the other end that they didn't need to take. And Mike Conley's 3 just barely squirts out that could have won it at the buzzer.
I want to go through some minute totals here. 41 for Jamal Murray, 39 for Nikola Jokic, 39 for Rudy Gobert, despite sitting the end of the second quarter due to foul trouble. 43 for Donovan Mitchell, despite some sitting. 41 for Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, both Gobert and Mitchell went the entire second half. Jamal Murray, I believe he went the entire second half as well. I think there's a very brief stretch for him. And Nikola Jokic was the hero offensively. Gary Harris was the hero defensively. We'll watch it again here. Harris just continued to compete, and Donovan Mitchell had Royce O'Neal open. It was great help from Jeremy Grant, which forced Mitchell to slow down. Harris tipped it away from behind. Denver didn't really get back, and Gary Harris went for a steal on Conley. It was just A comedy of errors. And just, I mean, what a series this was.
Also, I think this is the first time we've seen somebody lose when they had a 3-1 series lead since the Warriors in the finals. That happened twice in the final two rounds in 2016. The conference finals, Warriors over Thunder, and then NBA finals, Cavs over Warriors. I think it's the first one
It
we've seen
is,
since then.
yeah. And
What a
the
series.
12th team ever to overcome a 3-1 series. Denver did it, and it was the Nikola Jokic hook shot with 27 seconds left, an impossible shot. And Jokic, despite the matchup against Gobert, despite Gobert leaving everything out there, the matchup between Jokic and Gobert was unbelievable. Murray and Mitchell was unbelievable. And in the end, though, it was defense that somehow ruled this ridiculous series. And we got much more to talk about on Dunked On after this. Thank you so much for joining us.
And not only that, we have another Game 7 tomorrow. We don't know if it's going to live up to this billing, but Rockets Thunder. Let's do it.